So it's a new year and a new table, and we're going to be unboxing some products. So today on the bench is a Intel Core i7, I'm sure you all are aware, 6700k, so this is the unlocked version. It's the Skylake chipset. It's all built on the LGA 1151 socket, and this is, well, near as now, the latest set of processors from Intel. This is a quad-core processor. Like I said, it's the 6700k, which means it's unlocked. That'll allow you to actually do some overclocking, whereas the standard 6700, it's a little bit more difficult. But, you know, for 10 extra bucks, I'd recommend being able to overclock it. As with all i7s, this is a quad-core processor with 8 threads, so it's 2 threads per core. And this one has a stock operating frequency of about 4 gigahertz, with the ability to turbo boost to 4.2, and that's if you're running like a single or dual core application on a quad-core processor, it can raise a few of the cores under heavy load to accommodate for that a little bit easier. This processor is on the 14 nanometer architecture, so that gives us a very small design process. I mean, 14 nanometers is pretty darn tiny. And also the thermal dissipation power, or thermal design power rather, on this unit is 91 watts, which is actually really low for a processor that's clocked at 4 gigahertz. A lot of that's down to the 14 nanometer design. So with that being said, that means you use a little bit less in terms of energy to produce that much performance, and overall it uses less heat, or creates less heat when doing it. So these also, despite the fact that most people who are buying these are probably not all that concerned with it, it does have a built-in graphics card, sort of like the AMD APUs, if you're aware of those. This is the Intel HD Graphics 530. And the graphics base frequency is like 350 megahertz, somewhere in there. And I think it goes up to 1.1 gigahertz, so it can sort of clock itself up and down. And of course, as you can see with this tiny box, that means also our cooling is not included. So yeah, that's about what we got. Intel supports a 3-year warranty, and these processors do support both DDR4 and DDR3L. So, and it's 2-channel, so it's not any of those older Intel processors that, you know, they wanted triple channel memory and all that jazz. So we're gonna go ahead and break the seal on this box. Oh, this is a crappy sticker. Yuck. Okay, seal is broken. It is certified conflict-free. I don't really know what they're going for on that. I'm guessing probably they don't have any labor disputes in countries that these are made. So anyway, I'm going to pop this open. Oh gosh, breaking the box already. So we'll slide this out. So in the box, you don't get a whole lot, because there's no cooler that comes with this. I'd recommend just go and snag yourself a relatively inexpensive air cooler, or a water cooler if you plan on overclocking. The thermal design power being 91 watts is relatively low. A lot of the AMD stuff is sitting around the 200 watt range for a 4 gigahertz processor, so keep that in mind. You get a pretty sweet case sticker on the front of your little booklet. And this is the installation instructions, warranty guide, etc. You should be getting about every language you can think of in here. Yeah, and it tells you how to do the 1151 socket, which, for those of you who don't know, you have to sort of lift up this metal ring, and then you put the processor down inside there, and then you clamp it back shut. So, yeah. So there you go. So you gotta be careful with that. And actually in a later video I will show you how that works out. But so there we are. For those of you who aren't that familiar with Intel processors, here's the processor itself. Comes in like a nice little snap together plastic box. And like I said, for those of you who aren't that experienced with Intel processors, they just have a bunch of flat spots on the bottom. They don't have pins on the bottom. The pins are actually on the motherboard, which I can show you in a later video. We're going to be doing a whole build with this processor and a motherboard and all of that. So there's that. It's pretty self-explanatory. And stay tuned for a review of this chip. We're going to do some overclocking with it, and I'm just going to kind of get some basic benchmarks and sort of talk about it a bit. So there's that.